What's up, Team Icon, and welcome to another live stream. Sorry I took a bit of hiatus, but there's been a lot of personal things going on in my life right now that I've had to deal with, and needless to say, your boy's back, and I'm ready to chop it up. So, today the topic of discussion is small commitments, okay? Now, I chose to talk about this topic because it's actually been something that it's been a recurring lesson in my life as of late. And, since it's fresh in my mind and it's something that I've faced numerous times before, I figured I'd talk about it because small commitments lead to massive achievements. And they are also the key to keeping a strong mental space, right? Making sure that your mental health is in check is directly correlated with staying true to your small commitments. Now, what's a small commitment? That could be something as simple as making your bed in the morning, saying you're going to make your bed in the morning, right? And actually following through and making your bed in the morning, or waking up at a certain time, or going out for a walk, or, eating healthy. Well, eating healthy is probably a little bit of a bigger commitment, but you get the gist of what a small commitment is, right? Like you probably understand what a small commitment is. Now, why it's important to actually, take account of all the small commitments that you make to yourself on a day-to-day basis, and B, follow through with them, is because every single time you make a small commitment to yourself and you either fall through or follow through with that small commitment, you're either building your confidence or diminishing it, okay? So it's one of the two, and it's very subtle. And you can imagine that, day after day, week after week, month over month, year over year, if you continuously fall through on the small commitments that you make to yourself, you're essentially diminishing your confidence in yourself or your trust in yourself. And that becomes a compounding effect, because then eventually you get to the point where you almost just start to doubt yourself before you even get into anything, right? Now, this is something that, I've struggled with personally for a very long time. And I guess you could say I'm a bit of a high achiever, and I aim very, very high when I'm trying to achieve things, which of course can be a good thing, but on the flip side can also be very detrimental to your mental health, right? Because if you're making too many small commitments and it's impossible for you to actually keep up with them, you get overwhelmed and you start to experience overwhelm, and then ultimately you start to regress back, because now, again, going back to what I originally said, the more small commitments that you fall through on, that you make to yourself and don't follow through on, the more you actually diminish your confidence and your trust in yourself, okay? Now, something that's helped me a lot along the way of staying true to my commitments, big and small, is being cognizant and kind of tracking in my own mind when I use the word try, okay? Now, that might seem a little bit weird, but I believe that the only two things you should be trying in life is Costco samples and clothes to make sure that they fit, right? Outside of that, you're either doing it or you're not doing it. And, that comes down to basic decision making, which I think, again, can become very diluted in today's world, especially in this age of information. Everything moves so fast, and, there's so many things to consume. It becomes very overwhelming, right? And needless to say, when you're in this environment of this fast-paced environment, everything's moving super fast, and you start to say, okay, I'm going to try to wake up earlier. I'm going to try to eat healthier. I'm going to try to make my bed. When you get into the habit of saying try to yourself, you're already admitting defeat in your own mind. And once you start to actually track the amount of times that you use the word try on a day-to-day basis, whether it be text, voice, video, like in person, when you actually start to tally up those tries, and then, on the flip side, you start to pay attention to how many times you actually do the thing that you're quote unquote trying, I'm willing to bet that 8 to 9 times out of 10, you're actually not doing the thing, right? Because in your mind, you're already saying, okay, I'm trying. But you're basically setting yourself up for failure. So instead of using the word try, you either commit to something, you say, I'm going to do it, or you say, I'm not going to do it, right? I also don't believe that there's nothing on this world that you can't do, because look at what we've been able to achieve as, as a human race. But that's why I don't like to say I can't do it, because you can do anything you put your mind to, ultimately, right? Except maybe live forever. But you can do anything you put your mind to. So I don't like to use the terminology can't either, right? It's either you're going to do something or you're not going to do something. Those are the only two things. It's very black and white. And when you take out that gray area of try, you start to notice that you win back a lot more of your time, because you find yourself saying no to a lot of things, because you realize that you just have so many hours in a day. And B, you start to actually follow through with all of your commitments to yourself, right? Especially the small ones. The small, minuscule commitments that you otherwise might have just not even, thought of or been aware of, you actually start to follow through with those. And it's a funny thing that happens, because as you do this day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, you start to really build up your confidence. And that's where self-confidence comes from, right? It comes from action. It comes from doing. It doesn't come from trying things. It doesn't come from, having a pessimistic, negative mindset towards everything. It comes from committing to something, doing it, and following through with it, right? And that's not to say you're going to be the best at everything you do, or you're going to, catch a win on everything that you do. Sometimes you are going to meet failure, right? Or not necessarily failure. You can learn from things that you don't, you quote unquote fail on. You could learn from them, but you will notice that you start to win a lot more, and you start to build this trust and develop this trust with yourself and your word to yourself. And once you can do that, then you start to notice too that all of the relationships that you have in your life become of the same caliber. Because I'm a strong believer that, in order to love another, to take care of another human being, you have to first love yourself and take care of yourself. So if you're not keeping up with the commitments that you make to yourself, big and small, then how are you supposed to do that for another human being, right? And again, this is something that's occurring in my life, especially now that I have a daughter on the way, right? And I have a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old stepson. I am a father now, right? And I'm starting to realize that all of these little things that I tell myself I'm going to do and I don't do, it doesn't only affect my self-confidence and my well-being, it also affects my children. It also affects my partner. It also affects my parents, right? It affects everybody around me, because I'm falling through on the small commitments that I'm making to myself. And it's kind of, it seems, it's like a brain blast, because you start to realize that all of these little things, just as if if you're setting a major goal in your life, you're probably not going to go from where you're at immediately to that major goal. You're going to start to, set small incremental goals leading up to that big win, right? And it's the exact same thing with building confidence and building trust in yourself. It comes with the small things, right? It's in the details, and it's on a day-to-day basis that you have to be very, very intentional in, A, what you choose to do, B, the effort that you're actually putting towards that thing, whatever it is, big or small, right? You have to make sure that you're fully committing to it, and that you're telling yourself, I'm going to do this, instead of I'm going to try this. Because, trying things, again, 9 times out of 10, it's going to set you up for failure, especially if you're in the perpetual habit of saying, I'll try. It's just, it's something that I've dealt with thousands of people in my lifetime. And it's something that I have noticed, amongst the vast majority of people, and myself included. So all that to say, that's today's live stream. Make sure that you are keeping the small commitments that you make to yourself, because that is ultimately how you build confidence, how you build trust in yourself. And even for me personally, that's how I eliminate anxiety. Because I can, my anxiety builds up as much as the next individual. And the only way that I can actually start to chip away at that anxiety and diminish it is by doing things, right? And the only way I can do things is if I make sure that everything that I'm committing to, big and small, is something that I actually plan on doing. Like these live streams, for instance, right? It's been chipping away at my brain because I know I'm behind on my live stream schedule. And in the grand scheme of things, it might be something very small, but in my mind, it becomes huge. And I start to really inflate it, right? And that stems into, it's the exact same thing I was saying at the start of the live stream. I don't want to ramble on again, but it stems into everything in your life, right? Everything. Every little thing. So make the commitment to stop saying you will try. Either you will do or you will not. Do or do not. There is no try. And make sure that, every single small commitment that you make to yourself on a day-to-day basis, you follow through with it, right? And if you don't think you're going to do it, if you actually don't have the confidence in doing that thing, whatever it is, do not commit. It's okay to say no, right? It's completely fine to say no. And I think I would most rather you say no to something and potentially disappoint someone out there by saying no to it, rather than you committing to it and actually not being able to follow through with it, and then ultimately diminishing your own confidence, right? So for those of you that tuned in live, God bless you. We're back on the regular schedule. I will be going live again on Saturday, probably in the morning. I'm going to do a poll for you guys tomorrow morning when everybody's kind of like up and about, because a few of you are on different time zones, and I'll see what time is the most ideal, like as a consensus. But yeah, for the rest of you, I hope you catch this live stream on the replay. If you didn't tune in live, I will post it into the group shortly. I'm sorry if I've been all over the place, but again, there's been a lot of things happening in my personal life that I'm doing everything in my power to not allow to affect my day-to-day. Anyways, peace, love, all the protein. May the gains be with you.